I time slot every one of my hours. I don't waste minutes in my day.
The quicker you understand that you're not going to play in the NFL forever.
Most rookies show up to their first NFL offseason and party like it's still college. Shedeur Sanders showed up and built a schedule down to the hour. No wasted minutes, strict sleep, strict communication windows. And on Deebo and Joe's show, two guys who combined for close to 2 decades in this league sat there and said the quiet part out loud. This is rare. Most players don't figure this out until year 6, year 7, sometimes never. Shedeur is doing it in year 2. Today, we break down exactly what he's doing, why 2 NFL vets are shocked by it, and why it might be the most underrated storyline of his entire rookie season. Let's start with what actually got said, because this wasn't Shedeur bragging on social media. This was Shedeur sitting across from Deebo and Joe, 2 former NFL players who know exactly what it takes to survive in that league, and calmly explaining how he runs his life now. He said it plainly. What matters to him at this point is the ball and getting better every day. If something doesn't help the team win, he doesn't care about it. He said he angled his entire life around that one filter. Can't put your best foot forward with anything that isn't pointed at winning. Then he broke down the practical side. During rookie camp, before the vets even showed up, he wasn't worried about making highlight reels. He was figuring out his schedule, figuring out his time, figuring out what he personally needed to get to what he called autopilot, a place where the discipline stops being a decision and just becomes who you are. And here's the part that stopped both hosts. He said he time slots every single hour of his day, not loosely, every hour. He doesn't waste minutes because every day either moves him closer to his goal or further from it. Strict sleep schedule, strict communication schedule. He flat out called them sacrifices, and he said he's making them because of what he wants to bring to this team and this community. Now, think about who is hearing this. Deebo played for 16 years. Joe played long enough to know exactly how the story usually goes for a young player with money and a national platform for the first time. And both of them independently reacted the same way. Respect mixed with a little disbelief, because normally this conversation happens with a guy in year 5 or 6, not a guy who just finished his rookie year. Joe put it bluntly. The only reason he even had a negative thing to say is because this makes Shedeur better, and that makes the Browns better, and Joe doesn't want that. That's not a real criticism, that's an admission. When your harshest critique boils down to, this is going to work, you've basically confirmed the whole thing. So before we get into why this matters for his career and why the money side of this story is bigger than people realize, let's go straight to the clip where Shedeur lays out exactly how strict this routine really is.
It was so hard. We just got done doing the interviews over there, and like what matters to me at this point in life is ball and getting better every day. Mm-hmm. So that stuff doesn't help us win as a team. So it's like I don't really care about it, you know. So I angle my life and change my life to, if this isn't helping us win, then why would I can't put my best foot forward with that.
What do you think your first impressions of the actual practice, first couple days out here?
I think it was amazing. I think a lot of players was flying around. I was excited to be able for the vets and everybody to get back. You know, we had rookie camp, and during camp, I would say for me, I was just figuring out my schedule, figuring out my time, figuring out what I need for me personally, like within the schedule, to help me get to a place of autopilot.
And what do you think that needs to be for you to kind of up your game, get to autopilot?
Well, I would say I time slot every one of my hours. I don't waste minutes in my day.
Stop for a second. A rookie quarterback just described his life the way a 10-year vet trying to save his career would. That's not normal. That's the whole story. Here's why the vets on this podcast weren't just being nice. They were speaking from painful experience. Joe said it straight up. The career window for a quarterback is roughly 20 years if you're one of the lucky ones. For skill position guys, it's closer to 10, maybe 12, maybe 15 if you're built different. That's it. That's the whole runway. And Joe admitted something that a lot of players won't say publicly. It actually got serious about finding the right people to take care of his body. 6 years of his prime partially wasted on not understanding the clock was already running. Deebo backed that up with his own story, and it's rougher than people probably expect. He said it took him almost 3 years before he realized he couldn't keep burning the candle at both ends, partying all night and then trying to get up and grind the next morning. He said most guys don't see the end of the tunnel coming until they're already outside of it, and by then they're scrambling, trying to figure out what they should have started years earlier. That's the real threat in the NFL that never gets talked about enough. It's not just the hits, it's the wasted years. Guys get to the league, get their first real check, and treat their body like it's invincible, because for a minute it is. Then year 4 or 5 hits, the recovery slows down, and suddenly they're playing catch-up against 23-year-olds who never had to catch up on anything. Shedeur skipped that entire phase. He's building the routine now, in year 1 going into year 2, before the wear and tear forces him to. Joe said this is only Shedeur's first legitimate offseason, first real chance to figure out where he's going to live, who he's going to train with, how any of this actually works. And instead of wasting that window, he's using it to build the exact structure most guys don't find until it's almost too late. And this is where it connects directly to the quarterback room in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson is coming off 2 torn Achilles and turns 31 this season. Dylan Gabriel is fighting for reps. The competition Todd Monken has set up is real, decided in preseason, not handed to anybody. In a room like that, the guy who shows up already operating like a professional, already protecting his body like his career depends on it, because it does, has an edge that doesn't show up on a stat sheet, but shows up in October and November when everybody else is breaking down.
Because my thing is this, Deebo, and you know this as well as I do. You just basically said it. The quicker you understand that you're not going to play in the NFL forever. This is going to be max for quarterbacks, like 20 years when you're a quarterback. But like skill position, you get 10, you get 15, like 12 for me. That's a long time in the NFL. So when you first get in, you don't realize that the end is as sooner than you think it.
Yes.
You'll be in the NFL forever. So it took me about 6 years until I really got my PT person. So you're going to have to live and learning an off-season routine. This was only his first offseason.
So here's the question. If a 10-year vet is telling you it usually takes 6 years to figure this out, what does it mean that a rookie is already doing it? Deebo and even deeper into his own story. And honestly, this is where the conversation turns into something closer to a warning label for every young player watching. He talked about building his recovery team piece by piece over the years. A chiropractor, a doctor on call, a trainer, an acupuncturist that a veteran teammate first introduced him to, a dry needling specialist, a cupping specialist, a physio recovery person. At the peak of it, he said he was spending $300,000 to $500,000 a year just on body work, bringing people in and out, testing who actually helped and who was just collecting a check. And his honest breakdown of that process should stop anybody in their tracks. Out of the hundreds of people he worked with over his career, most weren't good. Some were decent. Very, very few were actually great. He said he learned to test people by watching them work on 3 different players. If they used the exact same technique on all 3, he knew they weren't the real deal, because there's no way 3 different bodies have the exact same issues. The good ones adjust. They read the body in front of them instead of running a checklist. That's years of trial and error, years of wasted money and wasted time, just to build a team of 5 or 6 people he actually trusted. And here's the connection back to Shedeur. He's already asking the right questions in year 1 that Deebo didn't start asking until well into his career. He's not waiting for his body to force the issue. He's building the awareness now, while the cost of learning is low and the runway is long. Deebo even guessed where it's coming from. He said he's pretty sure Shedeur got this from his father, someone who's been drilling discipline and preparation into him since before he was old enough to drive. And whether that's exactly right or not, the pattern lines up. This isn't a guy discovering discipline for the first time as a pro. This is a guy who walked into the league already wired for it, and is now applying that same wiring to the physical side of the job, the side that ages careers faster than almost anything else. The stakes here are not small either. Quarterbacks who show they can handle the mental and physical grind get paid like it. Guys like Jordan Love, Drake May, and Daniel Jones are already sitting in the $40 to $56 million a year range once they prove they're stable, competent, and durable. Joe made that connection directly. The earlier a quarterback understands this is a long game, the earlier that kind of number becomes realistic.
See, I came into the situation and it was like I had James Ferrier. James Ferrier actually introduced me to the acupuncturist that I still use today. And then, from there it was Charlie Batch. He introduced me to a lady that I used to use that he had in Detroit. She used to come down. And through that process of me just using, different body workers here and there, it was a group of, whatever it may be, people that I kept in a solid rotation. And, year in, year out, I may add somebody else different depending on what it was that, they did or how it affected, how it made me be able to perform. So when it came down to, it was years where I'm spending $300 to $500K a year and, body work and taking care of my body and bringing people in and out. And, I've probably used, hundreds of people through the course of time. And when it came down to it, most of them aren't good.
Reality check. A guy who played for 16 years just told you most of the people he paid to fix his body weren't worth it. Shedeur is learning that lesson in year 2 instead of year 8. Now let's zoom out, because this isn't just a nice off-season habit story. This is about survival math in a league that chews through bodies faster than almost any other sport on the planet. Joe laid it out clearly. Quarterbacks get maybe 20 years if everything breaks right. Skilled players get 10 to 15 if they're careful. Deebo pointed out that most players don't even realize the clock is running until they're already past their prime, already dealing with the injuries that never fully healed because they didn't treat their bodies seriously early enough. Shedeur is flipping that script from day one, time slotting every hour, protecting his sleep, building his communication schedule around what actually helps the team win instead of what makes noise off the field. That's not flashy content. It doesn't trend the way a highlight throw does. But ask any player who's been in the league long enough and they'll tell you this is the stuff that actually separates a 5-year career from a 15-year one. And there's a quarterback room angle here that makes this even more important. Deshaun Watson is working back from 2 Achilles tears at 31 years old. Dillon Gabriel is fighting to prove he belongs. Todd Monken has been clear the competition runs through the preseason, decided on the field, not handed out based on draft position or contract size. In that kind of environment, availability becomes its own skill. The guy who's still fresh in November, still recovering fast between reps, still operating at full speed late in games, gives his coaching staff a reason to trust him with more. Deebo said it best without even meaning to. His only complaint about any of this is that it's going to make Shedeur better, and that's going to make the Browns better. When your biggest critic accidentally hands you a compliment like that, you know something real is happening. This is also why the noise around Shedeur, the draft slide talk, the outside criticism matters less than people think. None of that changes what he actually controls, which is how he treats his body and his time between now and whenever his opportunity fully arrives. 2 veterans who lived through the wear and tear of this league just told the world on camera that a rookie is already doing the thing that took them years to figure out. That's not hype. That's 2 guys who know exactly how hard this league is on a human body, watching a rookie skip years of hard lessons.
But when you do it from the beginning, the earlier, after year 1, after year 2, year 3, now you're locked in to like, man, I'm going to have to change this lifestyle and be a quarterback. And with quarterbacks, you got to be the most smartest, and you literally, because these dudes, $65 million a year is what they're paying these franchise quarterbacks. That lock in, son. You know what I'm saying? Because once you show that you're actually a quarterback, you're very mature, you handle your business the way that it goes. You seen Daniel Jones got the $44 million a year. You see my man Jordan Love, Drake May, 55, 50, 56. So you're just like, okay, all I got to do is be very, very competent.
You paid May already?
Go out here. No, not May. Not May. I meant it was Jordan Love.
I was about to say, what the flip?
The ones that Baker Mayfield was comparing his contracts to.
Compare it like this. Most rookies are still figuring out where the training facility is. Shedeur is already building the exact system it took 2 league veterans years to piece together. So let's put it all together. Shedeur Sanders sat down with Deebo and Joe and casually described a lifestyle most players don't adopt until they've already lost years to bad habits. Time slotting every hour, strict sleep, strict communication boundaries, all of it built around one question: does this help the team win? Deebo, 16 years in the league, admitted it took him almost 3 years to slow down and take his body seriously, and years after that to build a recovery team he actually trusted. Joe backed that up with the cold math of an NFL career and admitted it took him roughly 6 years to find his people. Both of them on camera said this is Shedeur's first real offseason, and he's already doing what most guys need half a decade to figure out. That matters more than a highlight reel throw right now, because the quarterback room in Cleveland is genuinely open. Watson is coming back from serious injury. Gabriel is pushing hard. Monken has said the job gets decided in preseason. In a competition like that, the guy whose body holds up, whose mind stays sharp deep into camp and deep into the season, has a real advantage that doesn't show up until it matters most. Two veterans who know exactly what this league does to a body just told you a rookie is already ahead of the curve. That's the story here, and it's bigger than most people are giving it credit for. So here's the real question. Is this discipline something Shedeur was raised with, coming straight from his father? Or is this something he had to build himself once he saw what the league actually demands? Deebo thinks it's the father. Joe thinks it's Shedeur figuring it out in real time because he has to. What do you think? Was Shedeur built this way, or did he build it himself? Drop your answer in the comments, and let us know if you think this kind of discipline is what finally settles the Cleveland quarterback competition. Smash like and subscribe.